maybe.
Someone says, "Let me in."
Yeah. All right. I'm admitting all guests. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. You guys are amazing. We are officially live on Facebook, YouTube, and I got to click Instagram. Chap Grub here, and I'd like to introduce you guys all to Mason Gravley. Gravley?
Yep, that's right.
Yep. And I know you guys have seen some of the stuff that we've been posting over the past couple days, but I'd really like Mason to just go ahead, give us your elevator pitch, bud.
Yeah, so I work for Athletic Brewing. We make non-alcoholic craft beer. That's kind of an out-of-the-box idea, I know, but on the side, I host this show called the Adventure Sports Podcast, where we talk to folks just doing adventures around the world. So kind of how I put it is, I'm used to talking to people all day long that are really, really doing things against the grain. So I do that for work too, selling non-alcoholic beer for a living. So like I said, Athletic Brewing is what it's called. We're sold nationwide. And so that's kind of what consumes most of my life. You might hear my kid in the background. I'm in the bedroom right now just trying to hide from the dogs, the kid, and all the noise going on out there. But
I hear you, hiding. I hear you. Sam's actually supervising our 3 dogs right now. So she's got all the animals and I'm out in the garage. You can see I got my garage door open, desert behind me.
Oh, wow. I thought that was a TV or something. That's a screen. Oh, wow. Awesome.
That's real life, man. No, but Mason, it's super awesome to have you here. We're really, really excited. Brian and I have definitely had a chance to go listen to the Adventure Sports Podcast. We really love it. And the way I reached out to Mason a couple weeks ago was I stumbled into Athletic Brewing's beer. I just kind of saw some ads, bought it. And I know most of you guys know this, but I've been sober for almost 10 years now. So it was a really nice fit for me, who's never had a non-alcoholic or who's never had a microbrew IPA ever in my life, because I stopped drinking before I could go buy those. So Athletic Brewing really filled a gap for me. And I know Sam, who drinks regular IPA, was really infatuated with it as well, Mason. So when did you jump on that process with Athletic Brew?
Oh, man. Funny enough, the founder of Athletic Brewing, his name's Bill, living in New York City, just dreaming about adventures. He actually became a fan of the show, Adventure Sports Podcast. And when Athletic started, they about a year in, they sponsored the show for like 3 or 4 months. And at the end of that, I was actually working for a gear company. I was running it with a buddy. We did backpacking trips and rented the gear out and build itineraries for people. And then I do the podcast on the side to promote that company and whatever other companies would sponsor the show. And at the end of that 3 months, I ended up leaving the other backpacking company, and Athletic picked me up like pretty much seamlessly. It was really cool. So yeah, just a little podcast talking about adventure has led to being involved with Athletic. And that was about a year ago, a little over a year ago now.
That's so awesome, Mason. And I guess for everybody that doesn't know the Adventure Sports Podcast, do you have maybe a favorite episode or a couple pointers for somebody that's looking to get into it?
Yeah, so we've been around for like 5 years now, almost 6 actually. We're about to hit episode 700, and that's everything from interviewing folks doing the 7 summits to just, climbing certain parts of the country. We're having someone on soon that they're walking across Australia on a camel. Like, it's just random stuff like that. Crazy adventures. I've done a handful of things, and that's what I was on the show at one time, and then eventually took the show over. But I think my favorite episode is actually this guy, and it's actually a sobriety story. I didn't even think of this. I just heard it when I was a listener of the show. This guy's in college and just really not taking good care of himself. He was on drugs pretty heavy, drinking a lot, and he decided to just sober up like cold turkey after waking up somewhere he didn't know in the street, and then got up and thought, man, my life is just nuts. So he decided to go clean, and to kind of make him do that, he bought a 50cc scooter, like a moped, and this is in Colorado. He lives in Colorado, and he decided to ride it to Alaska, and talk to schools along the way. And he's like, he's kind of a pothead snowboarder, and he's like, hey, he would just show up to these schools and try to tell his story, and he's very aware of like the way he looks and how that must have seemed to some of these elementary schools. And just the way he tells the story was really funny. You'll have to check it out. If you just Google like Scooter Ride to Alaska Adventure Sports Podcast, it'll pop up.
That's super awesome.
It's not the craziest thing that people have done, but it really doesn't have anything to do with the adventure. It has to do with how the story's told. People can take really just the most normal day and turn it into something pretty entertaining if they just tell it right. There's people all the time we get on the show that's on paper they've done incredible things. They just don't know how to tell the story, and that's fine. You don't have to be a storyteller to be an adventurer, but in order to, just be in an audio format through a podcast, it definitely helps if you can talk about it.
Absolutely. And it's really funny. I relate very closely with both the motorcycle experience and the sobering up in college, because that's when I stopped drinking, was when I was at CU Boulder in Colorado. And so climbing was that outlet for me. And I relate very, very closely with his story about finding that source of adventure and that outlet for the energy being really powerful. Wow, those are really cool stories. I guess.
It was actually at CU Boulder. His name is Robert Sheeran. Do you know him? I mean, I know it's a huge school, but that's literally the school he was from.
That community,
I might. That name sounds really familiar to me.
Yeah, it's super possible. And Carter went to school with me, so distinctly possible. That community is pretty small. First, let me just pause real quick. We got a bunch of people on here. I want to say cheers. Thank you. We really appreciate everybody being on here for happy hour. It's really awesome and super exciting. Mason, those are some really cool stories. I guess I'm happy to keep talking with Mason. However, in the sense of happy hour and in the spirit of what we're doing, I want to ask, does anybody have any questions for Mason right out of the gate? Feel free to either unmute yourselves or throw it in the chat box, and we can answer anything. We're just psyched to be here and psyched to share this. And one of you guys, lucky folks out here on the Zoom call, is going to get that 12-pack of Athletic Brew. You're giving away a 6-pack of Upside Dawn and a 6-pack of Run Wild, right, Mason?
Yeah. So this is the Upside Dawn. I actually like them both equally. This is just all I had left. It's a golden ale. And then the other one is the Run Wild is an IPA. And the Run Wild actually just won gold for the best non-alcoholic beer in the country.
Oh, wow.
And if you saw recently, there was this list put together of the 25 most important beers in American history, and Run Wild made that list, which is nuts. Not saying it's the best beer ever, but they were saying, like, as far as a cultural pivot, the biggest beers, and it was just like foreseeing this huge, like, if you don't drink non-alcoholic beer, it might sound crazy to you, but it's a huge movement. Like, it's a huge movement. By the time we kind of settle into where we'll be one of the larger craft breweries in the country, and that's in the entire, all craft beers, and it's kind of crazy to think about, but so many people are very conscious about what's going on in their body these days, and a lot of us still really enjoy beer. I do still like to drink craft beer, and there's just a lot of times where it doesn't work for me with having a very young child, and very, very busy weekends, very late nights doing stuff. Like last weekend I went bike packing, and it was like hard days every day, but then at night you really wanted a beer. And we just brought a lot of these, and we could get up at 5 a.m. and do another 100 miles and really not have to worry about drinking that night. You know what I mean? We could do that 3-4 days in a row and really no repercussions other than it's just a liquid, and they're pretty low in calories. So there's all kinds of reasons people do that, but it's kind of crazy to think how quickly the whole market's growing.
Yeah, absolutely. Mason, one of the really interesting things, and I really do want to make sure people that have questions can ask them, is the young generation. I'm noticing people younger than me really lean towards non-alcoholic experiences. There's a massive part of that community that's like, hey, we want to go out to concerts, we want to go out to parties, we want to go out to raves, but we don't feel like alcohol is a necessary part of that. So this is kind of a response to that. And I think it's telling that you guys are growing so rapidly and in the conversation with alcoholic breweries, just in volume and quantity and distribution.
Definitely. And there's so many good beers. We make stouts. We just came out with a pumpkin, some sort of pumpkin flavor. You know, everybody's got to do that right now. So that really sold well. We had an Oktoberfest. Cool. So there's a lot of variety. I think we make about 50 different beers. So our Run Wild and Upside Down just being two of them. But it's really cool. You know, it's really cool. It definitely gravitates towards people who really like thinking outside the box. So a lot of athletes, like outdoor athletes who are already doing things pretty different. This really works well in that lifestyle. So when I heard about the company and had the opportunity to jump on board, I didn't hesitate. And so, you know, my dad's been sober 30 years. So it was just part of growing up. And, you know, I'm from the South, so everyone's drinking like Natty Light down there. So you're not giving up a whole lot. But he would drink O'Doul's my whole life. Every day he had an O'Doul's. So I just knew non-alcoholic beer was a thing. But he has a totally different reason for drinking it. He couldn't handle it, and it just consumed him. And so when my mom got pregnant with me is the day he decided to give it up and hasn't touched it since. So we actually celebrated his 30th year last year with Athletic Brewing. It was really cool. So we had a big party, but but I still like to drink. So, but it's something we can enjoy together, you know.
That's really awesome, Mason. That's a super cool story. And, you know, being part of the sober community, even, you know, as an outdoorsman, as a young person going through college, it's been quite the experience watching this blow up of microbrews, being in Colorado and learning how to navigate these waters. Had I had something like a Run Wild IPA 10 years ago, it would have made my life so much easier. You guys will laugh. One of my favorite things to do in college at college parties was I used to take mugs of hot coffee out to college parties. And at midnight, when people would ask what I was drinking, I'd just offer it to them without giving any disclaimer. When you give a drunk kid at midnight black coffee, they're very surprised and startled. It's a pretty entertaining pastime. So now we've got a large group of people here. Mason, we've got one question from Madeline. Mason, where can we buy this beer? Is it available in Albuquerque? Where can they get it in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah. I don't mean it to be a big commercial or something, but yeah, we can, because we're non-alcoholic, we sell online, so we can ship nationwide for free. That's actually how I get it. I work for the company, and I just get it shipped to my front door. You can get it on a monthly basis. There's all sorts of options. So that's really easy. But we're also nationwide in like Total Wines, if you heard of that. And then regionally, we're like in Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, and a lot of local stores. There's a thing on our website where you can see where we are, like a store finder. But I'd say just get it online. Probably
right easier. On. That's a great answer. It was super easy to do, and I don't think that anybody thinks it's a commercial, Mason. People just seem very excited about what you're doing, man. It's a super cool product and people are psyched about it. So I don't know. There's a link. Lodi Grub asks if there's going to be a store ever in Seattle. Want to go check out a storefront in Seattle.
Oh yeah. We sell in a lot of stores in Seattle. Pretty much every major city, every state, even we have plans to go international pretty soon too.
Cool.
There's the kid.
There they are. Okay. What's the kid's name, Mason?
His name's Leon.
Leon. Well, wave at Leon for us if you can see him. But no, that's super cool. So Sam asks, how long have you been doing the podcast? It sounds like you jumped on a little bit, not at the origin.
No, the podcast was going for a couple years. It was just two friends, like just two dads, honestly, started this show in Colorado, interviewing adventures, kind of as a way to hear stories, because they weren't in a stage of life to do them. But they wanted to kind of help that world. So they thought, let's give a platform to elevate these stories. After probably 2 years of the show running, I was on the show talking about like bike touring is my background, doing these long multi-month bike trips.
Cool.
And just became friends with them. About a year later, took the show over. They needed help hosting, and not long after that, I took the reins of the show itself and have done it for the last probably 300 episodes.
Cool.
And we've had so many incredible people, big names in the climbing world. We've had like Tommy Caldwell on. We haven't had Alex Honnold, but we had his mom on, which was pretty cool. She's actually a pretty accomplished climber herself.
That's rad.
Yeah, Alex Honnold's mom's the oldest person to climb El Capitan. If not the oldest person, the oldest woman. And I mean, she has so many records herself, and she got into it because of him. But she's really cool. You can definitely see where his kind of motivation and vibe comes from when talking to her. But we've had a lot of very, very, very cool guests on the show. It's actually crazy to talk to some of these people. I'm in my closet like recording an episode, and then I'll get out and I'm like, okay, now I got to go back to real life after hearing that crazy story. Like just last week, we had someone who's crossing all the largest 20 glaciers. They're like hiking or climbing up each glacier, the 20th largest glaciers in the world. And you'd think they're all pretty concentrated, but they're actually pretty evenly spread out across the country and across continents. And it's like a 10-year project. And at night, and where was it? It was up in the Arctic Circle. I'm trying to think where though. It might have been Greenland. They had polar bears to worry about, so they had to set this tripwire around their tent every single night. Set up this tripwire with all these flares, to where that if any of the tripwire was pulled, the flares just shot up and scared a polar bear away.
Whoa.
And it was like an hour-long process to do that every single night for like 3 months. It was crazy. So you hear all sorts of really interesting stuff like that, and but then you also hear the very, very simple, very simple adventures. But again, it's really not how big the adventure is. It's how it's told. And anyone can make a pretty entertaining story out of just about anything.
That's super interesting. I would have never thought of polar bears being a threat. But I mean, it makes perfect sense that you'd need to protect yourself from polar bears. So Mason, we got a question from Instagram, and it's from Mark, and it says, I'm interested in Mason's Feed America push-up challenge and how that's going. Oh, that was just a little push-up challenge back when the pandemic started. We were all stuck at home. Definitely a believer in trying to do things. I remember being on a lot of bike trips and running out of food, and being in college and not having much money and being very, very hungry. And I remember thinking like, that's the worst feeling in the world is being hungry. And it's so unfortunate that so many people exist like that on a daily basis. And so definitely have a passion for helping raise support to feed folks. So that was a challenge we did back in March. You guys have success doing it?
What's that?
It was fairly successful. You guys were able to
a little bit of money. Yeah.
That's awesome. Everything helps, especially in these situations. So
people did so many cool things.
Yeah.
That helped the world at that time.
Yeah, it was a really interesting moment where people were really stepping up and showing their true colors, showing themselves to the challenge. So I feel like this question might have been answered, Madeline. Let me know if it hasn't. But what's the wildest, most unbelievable story that you've been told on the podcast, or maybe what's the most inspiring one? I know we've talked about a couple other stories, but what's another one that resonates with you?
Oh my gosh! I mean,
I know it's hard to choose.
I'll come out of the closet, literally, not figuratively, to my wife, literally, and I'll tell her, like, you will not believe what this person just told me. Like, we're eating dinner, and it's really like she doesn't get to hear any of this. So I come out of the closet thinking all these things I've been told by this unbelievable adventurer, and I have to like bring that energy into the kitchen or into the dining room for dinner or just hanging out later in the yard when we're working. And it's like trying to iterate all this to her, reiterate it all is so difficult sometimes. So there's this separation. There was this one story, a guy named Ben Jordan. He paraglided the length of the Canadian Rockies, so like 1,200 miles of mountains. He would literally climb to a ridge or a mountaintop and just let his paraglider out or however, lay it behind you and then just take off running off the mountain. And it's so difficult to do apparently because of the thermals and the change of like the air pressure over mountains. He was the first person to ever do it. And it was like maybe a month, but he would, you have to wait till the weather's perfect. Like the weather cannot be, like it's life or death all the time in that sport apparently, especially in the mountains. And he said that there was multiple times on that trip where he would get stuck on a mountain top, like a feet above the tree line, and be stuck for a week, an entire week, and just have to sit there. And he would chip away at glaciers or chip away at ice and snow to get his water. And all he had was the ability to start fire, like a lighter and a little pot to boil in the fire, but no jet oil, no fuel tank, no anything. And he said he got so hungry he ran out because like all he carried was like a giant jar of peanut butter and some really random things. And he said he ran out of peanut butter, so the only thing he could do was like sneak attack marmots, these huge fat squirrel-looking things in the mountains. And he said he just had to catch like a marmot every day, kill it, gut it, cook it, and eat it for a week. And in the snow, and because the weather's bad is why he can't take off. So the weather's terrible. It's storming. You can't see anything. It's lightning. He's trying not to, he's above the tree line the entire time.
Sure.
It was a crazy. Wow. And then he would just fly into town, grab more peanut butter from like a gas station, and then just fly out of town. And he said people would just be like, you were like an angel visiting him. This filthy. I mean, it was a really crazy story. I remember that one. What
was his name, Mason? Do you remember?
I think it was Benjamin Jordan. He also, like right before then, skateboarded across Canada, like 3,000 miles, rode a longboard.
That's wild. I had no idea people did that.
Yeah. So you get all kinds of people like that.
Man, everybody's going to need to go listen to 700 hours of the Adventure Sports podcast. I know I'm going to listen to as much of it as I can. Those are some crazy stories, man. I'm super, we're all really lucky to have you here, Mason. Those are fantastic. And again, I want to open it up. Feel free. I think you guys all have the power to unmute yourself. Why don't you guys jump in and ask any other questions that you have or any other things that you want to talk about with me or Mason. Mason, if nobody has any questions, I got one for you. Pause.
Yeah, go for it. Yes, the marmots. Someone said not the marmots. Yeah, sorry, Madeline. I know. I love marmots. They're adorable, and I guess if you're starving, I don't know. It's hard to say.
So you mentioned, okay, what is the top selling beer that you guys make? Is it the Run Wild?
Probably one of our IPAs, the Run Wild. There are others that would probably sell more if we made more, but that's that and this one, the Golden Ale. Those are what we call our flagship beers. They're the ones that are always available. And then we have a lot of seasonal and a lot of limited releases, but we're always releasing more. Pretty much every week we do a seasonal or a limited, and that's where we literally release maybe 1,000 or so cases, maybe less. On the website, like at 5:00 Eastern time, and it's just a mad dash to get them sold. And they usually sell it pretty quick. I think our record was 24 seconds for one of those.
That's
like thousands of 6-packs. It was crazy. And that was one of our IPAs, probably my favorite, the Double Hop IPA.
That's awesome. Eric, you look like you had a question, maybe?
Oh no, I was just wondering if anyone else has done the OCR beer challenge.
What is it?
Oh, well, Mason can probably give the full enchilada on that, but it's you have to have 4 beers for 1 mile. So every quarter mile, you have to start with a beer and record the whole thing. And you have to tag Hunt the Sheriff, OCR Stars, and Athletic Brewing Company. And I just finished that. That was awesome. So 8:28 total time. So
Nice.
It took me 15 seconds to chug each beer, and whew, it was fun. I quit drinking about 6 months ago, so
Congratulations.
It's been a while since I've chugged a beer, and it felt great to be able to do this. And I'm sober. I'm having a blast now. It'd be a different situation if that was full of alcohol. So
yeah, that's absolutely true. Mason, you have anything to add? It's called the what challenge. Can somebody find a link to that somewhere and post it in the chat, maybe?
Yeah, it's hey, what's up, Eric? Nice to see you here. I see a couple ambassadors. Yeah, we're doing a beer mile challenge. If you've ever done a beer mile, it's like every quarter mile you stop and drink a beer. There's rules. It's like official rules. We're doing that with Athletic Brewing Beer, with this company called OCR Stars, which is like obstacle course racing. We're partnering with them, and we haven't. I think it ends tomorrow. So if you want to do it, the winner, the fastest beer mile, gets $1,000.
Whoa!
So if you want to do it, it ends tomorrow, and there is a whatchamacallit. There's the option to win as one person, and an option to win as 2-person team. So each category will win $1,000.
Cool.
Yeah, check it out. Go to our Instagram, Athletic Brewing. I mean,
nice.
Like you said, Eric, 8-9 minutes. You know, you want to commit like with planning and filming and everything. You probably have this set up in no time. Go give it a shot, and you got a chance at $1,000. So
that sounds fun. Maybe Sam and I can do
your Friday night.
Yeah, maybe Sam and I can do the double team. Jeremy, did you have a question, my friend?
Yeah, what's the fastest mile so far?
Oh, I think I don't know, Eric. I think you might have been beat though. I saw a time that was. I'm not sure if it was an entry to our event, but someone posted about it a little bit somewhere, and it was a pretty fast mile. But I didn't. You know, we got to make sure that they followed the rules and everything, so they can post something, but maybe they didn't do something right. So I really don't know where we are right now. So just go out there and run as fast as you can.
We'll make sure to, Mason, once you guys announce a winner, that we'll make sure to spread the love and share it, because that sounds super fun. And if our community can't get involved in such short notice, definitely next year. I know that we'll be all psyched to do that. I think you got everybody's super excited. Cool, you guys. I mean, that's a lot. It looks like we've had a lot blowing up on the chat. Anybody paying attention? Did we miss anything good? Oh, here's the rules. Madeline, did you post that? Do you want to give an overview?
Yeah, I was just looking around on the Instagram of you guys. So the link there is I posted a link to the YouTube video, but then there's also on your Instagram rules. So yeah. No puking, guys.
That's an immediate DQ.
Someone said like you got to add a laugh every time you puke or something.
Seems fair.
Hopefully, not having alcohol will help with that. But I'm not a runner, so I'm not even going to try.
Sam runs me into the ground, so she'd be the one that'd have to do the comp for us.
I did actually have one question. I was super curious. Is there like a difference between how non-alcoholic beer is made compared to like, I would assume there has to be like a big difference, but I don't know what it is.
Great question, Sam.
Yeah. So there's actually a lot of different ways non-alcoholic beer itself is made, but our process is actually pretty heavily patent pending and pretty secret, because it is very different. I will say it's not one thing we do different. It's probably a dozen or so steps.
Okay.
But I can tell you we don't remove the alcohol. It's fully fermented beer. We're just able to keep the alcohol levels low.
Interesting.
And it does meet the like the FDA guidelines of what a beer is. It is beer. Like it absolutely is beer. We just keep the alcohol low. So
Cool.
A lot of other companies will burn the alcohol out or pull it out through osmosis or reverse osmosis and that can really mess with the flavoring and the complexity of the craft beer. We don't do any of that. So, but that's all I can say.
Yeah, that's
really know more.
Super fair.
Well, thank you.
Mason, that it makes a lot of sense. One of the questions that was asked earlier was about how you felt about like, you know, Beck's, and they're probably one of the ones that's like removing the alcohol in a different way. And that's why it kind of tastes significantly different than the other beers that are supposed to be, that it's replicating.
Totally. Yeah. It's, I don't mean to harp on it, but it's really a quality products, really changing the game. And people are really starting to take notice. A lot of NFL players are drinking us on the weekends because their games are on Sunday. You know, we get a lot of that. A lot of Olympians are drinking us this year specifically, just because it's like the last year of training, because the Olympics are now next summer, so they're all getting ready, but they enjoy beer. So there's all sorts of little pockets that it's really fallen into. So it's been really cool. But there's a lot of great companies that have been making good non-alcoholic beer in the past. We're just trying to do it in a craft beer style. So I think we do have a tap room in Connecticut. We're brewed in Connecticut on the west or east coast, and then in San Diego on the west coast. So we've covered coast to coast, and we're you can find us in pretty much every state.
That's awesome, Mason. There's love the NFL shout outs. That's a great call. I bleed purple and gold, go Vikings, even though we're horrible this year. Had to say it with the NFL talk. But there's a question about coffee stout or Java porters. You got any of those in the works?
Oh yeah. We actually do have a coffee stout. It's called Smooth Ascent, and it has caffeine in it. I actually really like it. A lot of people don't like stouts, but we've got a seasonal stout called All Out Stout, and then the Smooth Ascent goes on sale every once in a while. That's a really good coffee. I know there are people that drink it for breakfast like every day. So,
you know what? Sounds like something I could drink for breakfast. I'm a big coffee guy. I'll definitely make that part of my next order. Question: you guys at Athletic Brewing trying to stay independent? You guys you're not looking. There's a lot of acquisitions out there by some of the bigger brew companies. You guys aren't looking to go that route. You guys like your.
Yeah, it's definitely above my pay grade, but I don't think so. We're plugging along, doing what we're doing. It's quick. I think I was employee like 20 something, and now we're pushing 100, and a year later. So it's in multiple locations. So it's kind of crazy how quickly the world has expanded in that aspect. But I tell you what, when you talk to these, Sam, I see you got a package. That's awesome. Yeah, look our pockets.
It looks like Sam just got our 24 pack of Athletic Brew literally in time for the happy hour.
Are you serious?
Which is unbelievably coincidental timing.
I timed that.
Yes.
Oh, there's the stout.
That's the coffee stout?
No, that's just the seasonal winter stout.
Nice.
That's so crazy.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we just got the 4-6 packs.
That's awesome. So hey, Mason, I want to be respectful of Mason's time. This is the end of the time. I'm happy to keep hanging out. I don't know what everybody else is doing. This has been really fun, and you guys are all amazing. Mason, where are you at? What are you feeling? Because it's 6:00 right now, and I don't want to keep you.
Yeah, I'm good. I will say, the Adventure Sports Podcast. Check it out. If you have any ideas for guests, please reach out. We're always looking for people to interview, and that's just a fun community. You know, we're pretty laid back about it. We're not super intense, like adventure. It's how do we just have more adventure in our life? How do we fit this stuff in on the weekends and the evenings? Quick overnight trips. Like how do we just think outside the box, kind of on a daily basis? So, check that out. Check out Athletic. Yeah. I partially run the ambassador program, where we just kind of have folks all over the country that are kind of a voice for Athletic in their community. If you're interested in that, let me know. You can find out about all that at all those websites: AdventureSportsPodcast.com, AthleticBrewing.com. And
Mads is plugging you guys actively right now, Mason. She's got she's got you guys on lock. So everybody go check out both of Mason's projects. They're both super awesome, very, very well worth your time. And we've got another Rerouted hat, Jacob, coming on at the last minute. Love to see it. That's like number 5 or 6, I think. We're rocking it today.
What's the story behind those? Just those aren't used hats, right? Those are new hats.
Those are brand new hats.
Yeah.
So there's a local guy here in Taos, Mason, that makes them, and his name's Splitter Designs, and he makes these hats, and we've got them all over the country right now. Jacob, did you have something to say, bud? I saw you on mute.
Oh no, I just was going to say thanks for the hat. I was happy to send some money over to Rerouted because I knew you'd have something for me eventually. And I've got this beautiful new saddle for my road bike, and it's going to go on the road bike tonight. So,
woo! That's so.
And the hat was just a bonus. You got me covered.
Good. That's awesome, Jacob. Super happy to help. But love to see everybody out here. You guys got any? It sounds like Mason's got a little more time for you guys. Anybody got any final questions? Anything for me, the Rerouted team? We got a whole bunch of people here. Also happy to just kind of hang out and BS too. It's super fun to have everybody out for happy hour on Thursday.
I did want to mention when we opened the second brewery on the West Coast this summer, as a way to kind of combine the adventure world and the breweries, we decided to bike from coast to coast, brewery to brewery, back in August. Yeah. And 2 of the riders, because everyone committed to like 300, 400, 500 miles at a time and do that segment. 2 of the riders are actually on the call, Mike Ship and Julie Engler. They carried it from, Julie was Wyoming and Colorado, and then the Mike was like Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and California. He carried it all the way to the end. They're both on the call. I wanted to shout them out there.
Yeah.
Julie turned her camera. No, there she is.
That's awesome.
Nice
Thanks,
to see
you guys.
on here. They're 2 ambassadors, and actually their roles in the company are growing as well. But we're always trying to do crazy stuff like that. So it was really cool to open it up that way, just a cross-country bike ride. It's a great way to see the country.
And it's a perfect analogy. Mike and Julie, do either of you guys want to add a little bit about that experience? I bet that's super cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. I can't even tell you how much, like, how grateful I am for the opportunity. Like, just hanging around, handing out beers and riding bikes, and it was great. It was so much fun.
How long were you on the road, Julie?
We got stuck with the fires in Colorado.
Oh.
So we had a hard time figuring out where to go. But we still did our 3-day segment, and we kind of just went wherever we could. Basically, when the smoke was blowing one way, we went to the other side, and yeah. So.
That's an adorable cat. What's the cat's name?
Thanks. That's Zoe. She was not having fun, I guess. So that's I'm out. But
no, that's so. You guys were both in Colorado together. You guys did your ride together.
I was like support van.
And then, but Mike and Julie rode together?
No, so we carried like a baton, like a running baton the whole time, and riders would hand it off to the person doing like the next 300 miles, and then they do their 300 and then hand it off, and that baton is now a tap handle. So it was like, and we poured beer with it at the brewery in San Diego. It was cool. And so Julie pretty much handed it off to our founder, Bill, who then handed it off to Mike. He did the one right in between what they were doing, and so Mike carried it the rest of the way. It was cool.
And Mike, where were you? Where did you ride?
I rode from Grand Canyon to San Diego.
Oh, I bet that was beautiful.
It was beautiful. It was hot. It was really hot. But yeah.
I bet. Where was the, like, if you had to pick kind of a region in that drive or in that ride, where would have been the most memorable spot?
Definitely Red Rocks and right outside. Not even because of the views, because we want the Bryce, we want the Zion, Grand Canyon, but the way that the community showed up, it was about 120 that day, and I had nothing in the tank, but there were a few riders from the community like, oh, I'll go ride some more. I started at 3 a.m., but I'll help you get through it. So it was cool. Really how people showed up.
That's super awesome. There's got to be video footage of that happening.
There's some footage out there on Athletic.
Good. We'll definitely have to find that. You guys, this is so cool. What else do we got? Anybody else got anything that they want to add, or should we wrap this up? I was planning on doing the giveaway after I've got the attendance list right here. So what I'll do is I'll just make sure that we rip out to everybody that's been here, and we'll do a polling, and I'll just notify whoever it is, because I got everybody's emails and names on this, and we'll send the 12 pack. And Mason said once we pick, we'll get an address, and it's super fast and easy.
Cool. And Chap, just so y'all know, on the Adventure Sports podcast, we're going to be interviewing Chap soon, just to hear kind of the story of Rerouted. We don't talk gear a lot, but we need to. We all have that kind of special item that we love, or something that's helped us get through, whether it's our bike or a bike seat, a saddle, or Patagonia jacket that's gone through hell and back. We're going to be talking on the show about gear and kind of how Rerouted got started. So I'm actually pretty stoked about hearing the story behind it and how it's going. I mean, obviously, pretty sweet community here, just showing up on a Thursday night to get together and listen to some folks talk. So I'm stoked. I can't wait for that. Well, we'll let everybody know when that comes out.
Oh yeah, we'll certainly be notified, and you guys all know us, and we really love and appreciate all of you guys, and it's so much fun. This is really our favorite thing. Mason, I actually don't think anybody really knows this except for my team. Mason is our inaugural guest. He is the very first one to ever guest on the happy hour. So this has been extremely fun for all of us. And hopefully we'll continue to get guests. So we'll have Mason back. You guys are all welcome back every Thursday. This is really what we're trying to do to kind of celebrate. Cheers to Mason. Thanks for being here, man. I'm super psyched. Really had a lot of fun with everybody. We'll get a raffle done after this, but you guys are great. And we'll talk to you guys later. Feel free to hang out. I'm going to stick around for a little while, but you guys trickle out at will. I appreciate everybody. Mason, you've been great. It's been super fun.
Yeah, thank you. Golly, you guys are too kind.
I can't believe we got a really, really nice turnout for you, man. There's a lot of people that were super excited to listen about athletic brewing and adventure sports.
It's awesome. No, this is awesome. I hate to hog the mic. Anyone else? Y'all can talk.
Yeah,
this is like happy hour. Y'all can hang out.
Just a reminder that Madeline just posted. We do this every Thursday, and I think this is the format that we want to move forward with, is have just kind of a community chat room and then stream that, rather than just, instead of just seeing Chap's ugly mug the whole time, we'll get a bunch of people in here. And so we do this at this time every single week, and anybody that wants to join us should do so.
That's very true. Thanks for the shout out, Brian. You guys are all really, really awesome. Anybody else got stuff that they want to add? Chris, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm flattered. Yeah, it's very kind. I'll appreciate that. No, this has been really, 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 really fun, you guys. I just can't speak highly enough about this whole experience. I'm trying to make sure. Brian, you know how to save the participants? Anybody know how to do that? I have the list. I have the whole comments and everybody that jumped in. I got screenshots and all of the video and stuff.
Yeah, we should be able to. We can go back through and we can see everybody. The only people that might be out of luck is whoever was just named iPhone. We don't know who that is, but next time maybe if they put their name, they'll be included for the giveaway.
Yeah, iPhone's gonna be hard to find.
And trust me, you want the giveaway. The athletic beer is really, really good. I feel guilty because it was really for Chap, and I opened them before.
Not even cooling it down, just drinking it right out of the box.
I am. I'm drinking. I've got my nice big box right here. They're cold. It was perfect.
No, that
Sam,
was awesome, you guys.
Sam, did you only crack one for yourself and then not bring one to Chap in the garage? That's so sad. What the heck?
No, I thought about it, and then I was like, no, I don't want to miss anything. I'm having too much fun, so I didn't take it to him.
I was just going to say, you better not be tapping into my winnings there, Sam.
No promises, guys. No promises. I like it a lot. So.
Well, y'all reach out if y'all want to try some at masong@athleticbrewing.com. We'll figure something out. We'll have to send some out to the crew or do another winning or something.
Well, Chris and I will be placing a nice order this just right after we get off here. We'll get some of that going. It seems like there were a lot of people ordering throughout the time that we were on here. There were several people that were asking for the link and placing orders to try some. So hopefully this time was worth it for you, Mason.
Are y'all kidding me? Like, what else am I going to be doing right now? Just hanging out. I'm on the East Coast. This is great. Seeing people, talking about adventure. Dang.
Yeah.
I can't think of a better. Someone said something about big plans for getting together in person. That's about the only thing that would be better than this is actually doing something together in a community setting. If we could ever do that, that would be awesome. We're trying to figure it out with the ambassadors too. Like, obviously, when something like that's available again or possible again, how do we do like a big team retreat or something? That would be amazing.
What part of the East Coast are you on, Mason?
Believe it or not, I'm actually down in Florida. So we just moved from Denver like over the summer and came here to spend winters. We didn't like the cold, honestly. So wintertime down here, it's great. Right on the coast and kind of been near a little island. It's been pretty cool. And then
you missed Denver. It's been 10 degrees for the past, well, not today, but for the past 3 days before that. It was bad.
Yeah. Dude, are you still in Colorado?
I am still in Colorado.
Yeah. No, Mason's down in Florida. Jacob, to your point about getting together, I would love to. And I think that we're getting closer to wanting to do some small, hopefully some socially distanced stuff, some adventure related stuff down here in New Mexico. That's kind of been on my radar, like going and doing a hike, going and doing some sort of cross country ski sort of thing that can be socially distanced. Alec, what's up, buddy? You out of here? Bye. Thank you.
I want to ask Mason a quick question.
Yeah, please.
So I hadn't ever, sometimes I jump on these because I love Rerouted and what they're trying to do. And I want to kind of, keep tuned in. But is all your beer non-alcoholic? I think that's awesome. That's such a cool niche. And so we, speaking of getting together, I've got a small group of friends and we get together. And it's getting darker now. We're gonna have daylight savings time, but we've been getting together like twice a week for mountain biking just here in town, and we do trail building. We do all I'm in the Fat Tire Society. I'm buddies with the guy who's on the board. So I'm kind of like a mountain biking. That's my arena. But just for Mason, we have a friend of ours who's a doctor, and he always tries to get a ride in. And he's on call, right? And so he's got his phone there. We can only ride where he has cell service. But our tradition is to have what we call arroyo beers, where after our bike ride, we'll go find an arroyo and sit in it and have social distancing happy hour. But he's on call, so he can't drink beer with us. So I'm going to order some beer from you, and I'm going to bring it from my friend Thad, who's a doctor who can't drink with us.
That's like a perfect scenario. My best friend lives like 15 minutes from here. Same thing. Always on call with his job.
Yeah.
Got to be really careful, That's actually we hear a lot of that in the medical field too. People on call, and that's like a perfect situation.
That's awesome, Jacob. Super glad. And that's how I feel about it too. We've had it after climbing a number of days now, and it's been great.
Good for cats too, June. That was a big black cat. Is that who you're talking to?
I'm really bummed that my mom missed that. She's an absolute fanatic for black cats. We have 2 black cats, and she would have loved to see that.
He's quite the stud, I'll say.
Thank you. Which one is this? Oh, look. Boom.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I was like, how'd you get it? Oh yeah, you're Sam's like not too far away from you. Perfect, man.
This is really good. I'm super psyched. Glad, good timing, good branding. What's up, June?
So I'm wondering if, because I kind of just went on a really big adventure in my life, and I'm wondering if anybody else has a big adventure that they've kind of just like recently been on during quarantine that's been sort of like a self trip, because like we're not able to go with other people. We're not able to do things. And so I just recently rafted through Cataract Canyon. I recently just rafted through Cataract Canyon by myself. It was 96 miles of rowing, and it was like the most amazing experience. And I've just been meeting all these really cool people here in Colorado who've been talking about their like quarantine experiences. And I'm wondering if anybody else has an experience that they would want to share on this chat that has something to do with like something you've done.
Well,
I've got thoughts, but I wanted to open it.
Sorry.
No.
Go ahead. I don't know that it's necessarily like quarantine specific. Quarantine has given me more time to focus, but I did just run my very first half marathon.
Heck yeah.
The other weekend.
What was that like? Tell me about that.
Oh God. So before that I'd only ever run 10 miles, and I was like, what's an extra 3.1, right? Like I'll be fine. And honestly, the last 2 miles were like so, I feel like mentally challenging, because I was like, oh, I'm pretty much done, and I got to that point and I'd like stayed so focused until then. And then the last 2 miles, like things kind of felt like it kind of unraveled a little bit. I mean, I made it, my time like significantly slowed those last 2 miles where I was a little disappointed, but yeah. And so now I'm training for my first marathon, which I'm pretty excited about.
I think the important part is that you did it, and that's awesome.
And I definitely am like, great. I'm like, cool. Now I know I can do it. Right. I'm like, I got this. Just got to see how far I could push it now. So that kind of a quarantine experience.
I love it.
Chris and I, different type of adventure, but Chris and I we moved me from Seattle to Boston, and we did the drive without stopping. So 3,100 miles in exactly 47 hours. It was wild. We had a long-standing family record to break, and we absolutely shattered it. So Chris, C-Dub there, good work. Thanks for the help. Thanks for being my rotating driver. And Montana and South Dakota are just one big blur. So that's all I have to say about that. But we made it 3,100 miles on 90 in 47 hours.
And as you can see, nobody perished from caffeine intake and lack of sleep. So we called it a win.
We figured no speeding tickets and no caffeine induced heart attacks. So I mean that's a successful trip across the country. The no speeding tickets is pretty wild. There's no reason that we should have gotten point A to point B without getting a single one. But hey, we're not gonna complain. I budgeted for speeding tickets and we didn't get any, so that was great.
We were laughing a little bit once we got done with the drive, because we calculated that we saw approximately 4 cops between basically Seattle, Washington, and Buffalo, New York. And then the time period from Buffalo, New York to Boston, which was about 500 miles, we ended up seeing about 12 state troopers.
Wow, that's like insane. That's so many people and so many cops.
Yeah, it was just all backloaded on the back end. And it was funny because I was telling Brian, because I'm originally from New York and have lived in Massachusetts for a while. I was like, look, our luck's going to run out once we hit these 2 states. And lo and behold, that's where they all were. They were waiting for us.
I told Chris that he had to do that. He had to do that final leg because he'd at least have some semblance of an idea where they're all hiding.
There we go.
So I heard right when the pandemic started, because everybody was off the streets, they had a huge resurgence of the Cannonball Run. You guys know what that is? But they had like a massive uptick in attempts and had to, issue a bunch of warnings of people like, hey, you can't do that, even though nobody's on the roads anymore. It was.
The thing about the Cannonball Run is like, that's a different level of like, those people average like 120 miles an hour, including stops, with top speeds of like 170 through the Midwest. I mean, like, people are absolutely flying. I'm pretty sure it's Boston to San Francisco or something, or it's New York to San Francisco.
New York City to San Fran.
Yeah, New York City to San Francisco. People are doing that in like 25 hours. It's absolutely insane, and it's so dangerous. That what Chris and I did, that's the closest to a Cannonball Run I think we'll ever do. Like, there's no reason to go any faster than that.
Those are good answers to June's question. Anybody else got a good one?
The pandemic screwed up everything in terms of like personal outdoor stuff for me. So it's been the local mountain biking, minimal travel, but I travel a lot for work and I manage construction projects like out in the boonies. And so I've gotten to actually camp and hike around a lot for work this trip. This during the pandemic, which is, it's like, trying to find a whole different level of mindset when you're working and in the outdoors to get some of that additional private time in, making room for that. It forces you to be creative, you just got to be really creative.
That's absolutely right. I feel, especially during COVID, I felt so lucky that our house is 5 minutes away from rock climbing and that nobody else is ever out there. So we don't even have to worry about socially distancing because it's always socially distanced. Even 2 years ago, it was socially distant, and we just can go climb whenever we have the time.
That's so cool. Well, thanks for answering my question. I am just like so excited to have been a part of this tonight, and thanks so much, Rerouted. I love you guys so much, and I love the team. You guys are all amazing.
Well,
you're
June,
awesome.
We can't wait for you to join us again every week on Zoom because, the thing is, we really are trying to kind of make this the way like I said before when everybody else was here. I think this is a much cooler and much more engaging way for us to all kind of interact and whatnot. So thanks to all of you for hanging around and making this super successful. And Mason, you obviously had a big draw here as well.
Thank you.
Athletic Brewing just seems like such a cool project and such a cool thing that you guys got going on there. And I'm thrilled that we're all kind of working together on this thing.
So we've kept Mason for a full half hour extra. Let's give a round of applause. Thanks, Mason. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all. I'm happy to. This is great. It's fun to hang out. Thanks, Julie and Eric, for sticking around. Yeah. 2 ambassadors.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we have such a great ambassador community, and that's what we're trying to do. Just like y'all are doing. Y'all have to really build a cool community, man. Rerouted. I can't wait to hear more. Honestly, just get more into the backstory. So.
What the fuck?
All right, something's happening.
Well,
I'm gonna get.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what just happened?
I'm not sure.
Somebody showed up.
I don't think that was from Mason.
I'm gonna go ahead and end these streams here.
There's.
Good night, you guys.
This is like one of our best friends. I'm super sorry. Sam did not tell me this kid was coming. This is like out of nowhere. I'm so excited.
We got the live reaction for it too. All right.
True happy hour.
I'll go ahead and end it. I'll go ahead and end it there for Chap. Let him do his thing. But thanks you guys again for coming, Mason. I can't wait to chat with you sometime in December on Rerouted's podcast. And I know that Chap's gonna be on yours coming up here as well. But thanks everybody for joining, and I think we'll end it there if Chap will actually end up turning off the stream.
I'm here. What am I in trouble?
No. I just decided that I'd end the stream for you and get this going. So just make sure to not stream your garage door to Facebook for the rest of the night.
Thanks, you guys. Really appreciate you guys. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.